All right, this week we are jumping into the newest Marvel Cinematic Universe film, that is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. James Gunn's Guardian trilogy comes to an end, and it marks the end for several of our favorite characters, which we'll get to later. Gunn himself said Volume 1 was about the mother, and Volume 2 is about the father, and he said Volume 3 is about the self. And so we have our favorite band of misfits going on a bit of a journey of self-discovery. It also focuses on the backstory of One Rocket Raccoon. It's an emotional ride, but also does it get the Marvel Universe back on track? All these things we shall discuss, Zach.
That's a good question. It's a really good question. But I have a better question for you, Hunter.
What's that?
And that question is, but is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 good?
Let's talk about it.
Let's find out. But is it good podcast? Yeah. Welcome.
What? What'd you say?
I said welcome.
Welcome to the podcast.
Yep.
Very informal.
Welcome
I'll just
in.
leave all that in there. I'm odd. So what is this, 121?
Yeah, because you're odd. You're an odd person.
I'm an odd person. Welcome to the But Is It Good podcast. My name is Hunter Callahan. And with me, as always, is...
Zach Olson.
Zach Olson. The biggest Braves fan in the world.
That's me. I go to Braves games, and we lose when I go.
That's true. So we're going to lose on Tuesday, aren't we?
No, well, they win when I go on a weekday. They lose when I go on a weekend.
Much till this weekend. Anyway, welcome to the podcast. Please, before we get started, housekeeping, like and subscribe and share and tell your friends and leave comments and leave a review. Leave some stars. Even if it's just 1 star, do whatever you want, man. Email us, say hello, say goodbye, say I hate you guys. You're terrible at this podcasting thing. That's fine. Give us criticism. We can take it. Okay. All right, we're in rare form. All right, let's get to it then.
Let's get to it.
Let's get to it. Zach, I hope you're well.
The movie, I hope you're well, Hunter. I'm not going to tell you how I am, because fuck you.
I'm not going to tell you how I am either.
Why?
I could be terrible. You have no idea.
But why not? Why aren't you going to tell me?
Because fuck you, that's why. Because why?
That's
because
right.
Christian's the fucking worst.
Because Christian's the fucking worst. Take a drink.
Wait, hold on. Wait, I've got my whiskey.
Sipping on a whiskey and soda.
Yeah, you're welcome. That was my idea.
Generic brand soda.
Because Christian's the fucking worst, right? Here we go.
Because Christian is the fucking worst.
Woo.
And we're talking about Christian Pratt.
Christopher. Guardians 3. Let's do it. You ready to jump in?
Yeah.
Zach, so in not very, very, very non-spoiler.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, no. I just noticed your name. That's hilarious. What were your first reactions, your first thoughts to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3?
It's technically just Vol 3, right?
Vol period 3.
Well, I guess the poster says volume. Oh, here. Oh, you want my opinion on this film without spoilers? With no spoilers at all?
None.
Okay. Here it is. So I don't think it's the biggest secret that I am a comic book movie hater. And because he has been involved in a lot of them, by extension, that makes me a bit of a James Gunn hater. And watching this film was like watching that asshole in high school that you hate do something really cool. And you're like, damn. I wish this wasn't happening. Because no, it was good.
Turn there. I thought, oh, he's gonna hate this movie. That's so funny.
I didn't hate it. I will say that there were some tough bits. I don't do well with like animal cruelty stuff. So every time, and that's, I mean,
we're
not going to spoil anything.
It's in the trailer, though. It's in the trailer. People know it's about.
But that stuff was pretty upsetting to me, even though, it's all fake. Like, it doesn't matter. So, I think that, everybody did a great job. There were some little things, like, I didn't really understand why Sylvester Stallone was in there, other than to just, like, have him in there. But I feel like they had to pay him a lot of money to have him in there, so it didn't really make sense to me. You know what I mean? Like, stuff like that. And there's definitely going to be some plot holes, and I'm going to try and nitpick this as much as I can because I'm a James Gunn hater. But I thought it was a strong movie. It's definitely either this or No Way Home is the strongest movie since, like, Endgame. Like, by far. Those are, like, the two front runners, I think. Yeah. And maybe, like, we both really enjoyed Shang-Chi as well. Yep. But... Yeah, I enjoyed it and I didn't want to, so that's saying something, right?
Well, you enjoyed the first Guardians, didn't you? A lot.
The first Guardians, the second Guardians. So I texted you a couple of days ago, right? And I said I don't think I've seen the second one. I rewatched it and I had seen it. It was just so unmemorable that I didn't. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like nothing stuck. Like Ego and like the origin of Mantis in the group and all that, like it just didn't stick. Yeah. So, but yeah, this one was way better than 2.
Did you like the Suicide Squad?
I thought the Suicide Squad was a weird mix. Yes, overall, yes, but it was closer to neutral than like, I love this.
Because I know that you don't really care for comic book movies, but I didn't know if it was like just James Gunn. Because I feel like he makes the stronger ones recently, at least.
He does. Yeah. I also don't like his ego. I mean, I've been texting you. I don't know if we've talked about it on the show explicitly, but I feel like Kevin Feige, as much as I hate the MCU, he's like, this is the direction that we're going to go. This is, the MCU is this. But since James Gunn's taken over the DC universe, he's like, I'm doing this. My vision, I'm gonna, me. I'm doing the script for...
It's him and Peter Safran.
I'm doing the script for Superman. And
he's also gonna direct it.
One thing that I think he does a really good job in telling a story, I think his dialogue kind of sucks. And we'll talk about that because there's some lines that just felt off in this movie. And I felt that way about the Suicide Squad, and I felt that way about other movies that he's made as well. So I think like he could use some help.
Yeah, maybe
with his dialogue. But
I'd have to agree. For the most part, I enjoyed this movie more than I've enjoyed probably any Marvel movie recently. I would say the past like a year or two, I guess, actually.
Yeah.
And that's because it's the first time in a Marvel movie in probably the past few years that I've like, even more so genuinely than No Way Home, where I was like felt emotion for the characters. In No Way Home, I was excited. I was like, oh, sick, that's cool. But I wasn't like, I was kind of sad when like May died, but like I actually was like, maybe because that's what you get for having a character arc that lasts for 3 movies, and we have the same people. But it was still, there were some parts where I kind of was like, whoa, this is weird. This is kind of going crazy. I didn't love how they handled some characters. And there were some things that I feel like were kind of tropey in the sense of how the story played out, which I want to talk about because you texted me before you saw it, and you were like, okay, based on the trailer, I'm guessing that this, and this happens.
It all happened.
And all of them. Like, I was like, yo, he's exactly right. I was like, all of these things happen. So it's a little predictable. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And in the sense of, and in true Marvel fashion, and actually recently DC faction, where so you think something's heavy's going to happen, like really like, oh my God, they're going to do this. And then it's like, hey, psych, just kidding. Which we'll get to that. But overall, I had a good time watching it. It's the second place of the 3 for me. 2 is the last one, but Guardians 1 I think was much stronger.
Okay.
And I think, it's got like an 81. I think that's probably close to what I'd give it. It's the stronger, it's the best Marvel movie recently, but it's still not like what it used to be, if that makes sense. But I think it's fine. I had a good time. I had some good
Yeah.
laughs. I had some good laughs. You know, it was good.
But 90% of the laughs in my theater were in the trailers. I don't know if it was the same in your theater, but there were a couple jokes that weren't in the. If you see me jerking back and forth, I am holding a toy and my dog's fighting with me.
No, you're fine. Yeah.
But yeah.
We had some people, and it's funny, and I'll mention this because I took Hannah with me, and we can talk about this like real quick because it's not spoilery. But I thought it's interesting because she thought it was fine. She thought it's a movie that she, you know, luckily she wasn't like in the past. She's been like, these are terrible movies, because we go see weird movies, you know, for the podcast. And she was like, no, it was fine. But she was telling me that the person like next to her, because it was a pretty full theater, opening night, you know, it's Friday night. She said that the person next to her was like in tears, laughing so hard at every joke. And she was like, "That it wasn't that funny." And I was like, I know, it's interesting that like, I don't know, maybe to them it was, but I was like, it felt like, yeah, there's some people who like will just automatically love it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
well,
no
because
matter what.
It's like an affirmation bias, right? They want it to succeed so bad that they'll just like
they'll just
love it.
decide to just think it's the greatest thing ever.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing with Swifties that are like Midnight's is the best album ever.
It's not.
And then a couple months later, they're like, wait.
It's not. But that's like, dude, that's like me and like Batman stuff. Like when BBS came out, I was like, let me try and find the good in this movie because I want it to be great.
Yeah.
So it's true. Yeah, it's totally true. All right, cool. It's my turn, right? Movie in a minute.
It is your turn. So I'm going to
online stopwatch.
Hunter's pulling up a stopwatch.
What are you
I'm going to sing a song about movie in a minute. So here's the song.
Okay.
I'm singing a song about the movie in a minute. I got 60 seconds to tell you about the movie. Yeah.
Sounds like early Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
Yowza. All right, ready?
Well, he's got 1 minute to talk about a movie. Got a rattlesnake suitcase under his arm.
He's a mean machine. Something mean.
Been drinking gasoline and honey
Baby,
in a minute time. I said minute in a minute, but you knew what I meant.
Take me down to a movie in a minute where the
grass is green and we got 1 minute.
60 seconds. Oh, won't you please take me to movie in a minute?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. All right, here we go. All right, this is Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 3.
I see you standing, waiting for a movie in a minute.
On your own.
Ow.
That's for those of you who don't know, me and Zach went to see Guns N' Roses about 6 it's been like 7 years ago. 6 years ago?
6 or 7, yeah, because we saw Guns N' Roses at the Georgia Dome that is no longer there.
Yeah, that's right. This is like 2016, I think. Maybe 7. No, I think it was 16. Take me down to a pair. Yeah, anyway, here we go. Movie in a minute. This is Guardians 3. Here we go. How's it start?
Have you started the timer?
Got it. Here we go. And 3, 2, 1. Okay, so they're on nowhere. Rocket's listening to a sad song. Quill's drunk. Anyway, Adam Warlock comes flying in. He's like a big dumb baby. He beats them all up. He mortally wounds Rocket. They try to fix him, but he has a kill switch on his heart because he's been like biogenetically engineered. So they have to go find this thing. They go to this crazy like living tissue business place, and they're around spacesuits to try and find this thing to get to Rocket's kill switch code. Anyway, they had to go find the High Evolutionary. We flash back to Rocket. He's a baby. He's getting experimented on. He gets like, you know, his limbs and stuff are changed. His skeleton's changed. He meets some friends, Lila and Teefs and Floor, and this crazy guy. His name is Herbert Wyndham. He does stuff. Anyway, he has a counter Earth. They go to this other Earth. They're like animal people. They go find him. They save Rocket. The whole planet explodes, and then they pull the guy's face off, and his face is like all gross, and then they all live happily ever after. Yay.
Yay. You missed the part about Cosmo.
Oh yeah,
I don't know what you would have
Cosmo's
said
in it.
about Cosmo.
There's a dog that talks.
Mm-hmm.
And there you go. That's the whole movie in 1 minute. All right, shall we do this thing or what, Zach?
Yeah.
Let's do this thing. Let's do this thing. Yeah, let's do this thing.
Let's do this thing.
Sorry, I'm checking on Hollis. I can hear him crying. He's having a tough time, man. Oh, man.
I wanna get off and go home again. So let's do this thing.
Are you singing John Mayer? Are you singing John Mayer?
In.
Zach loves John Mayer. Do you want to go see Aerosmith?
I know the world is black and white.
Nice little falsetto pop there.
How much are tickets?
I don't know. I haven't checked yet, but they're coming. It's their farewell tour. We can talk about this later. But
Farewell tour?
It says they're saying.
Well, then we have to go.
We have to go. All right. So movie in a minute. I mean, I did that. Let's do the movie. So it starts off. Let's do it.
We're in nowhere. Nowhere's been rebuilt.
Did you watch the holiday special?
No.
Okay.
What happens in the holiday special?
Well, they kidnapped Kevin Bacon, but they're on. I'm
sorry?
Drax and Mantis try to give Kevin Bacon to Peter Quill for Christmas. So they go to Earth and they kidnap him. All that's to say, it's kind of funny. It's kind of dumb. All that's to say is that they're on nowhere, so you can see that's been rebuilt. Anyway, how do you want to do this? Let's just go through it. Well, let me tell you this. Well, go ahead. Actually, you can say something. Your turn.
No, it's your turn because you said, how about this? How about this?
Well, I changed my mind. How about this? Shut your mouth.
I'll kick your teeth down your throat and shut it for you. So they're in nowhere. They're just like living their life. What's his face with the mohawk is trying to learn how to use the arrow, and he sucks. Kraglin sucks at using the arrow, and Cosmo's like, I have powers. And then Kraglin's like, you're a bad dog. That's a plot point, because throughout the movie...
The entire movie.
bad dog until the end. But out of nowhere, and it's not really explained... I mean, it is explained, but like it's just out of nowhere, Adam Warlock just like fucking zips in and just starts wreaking havoc. It feels like Adam Warlock got his powers 2 minutes ago because he does not know how to use them.
Well, he did, I guess.
So did they
he's like a big dumb baby.
Upgrade him and then just send him to Earth? I mean, not Earth, nowhere.
Did you? So in Guardians 2, the post-credit scene, did you see that post-credit scene?
Probably, but it's an unmemorable movie, so I don't remember it. Also, that was years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah. So but you rewatched it, right? Didn't you?
Yeah, but if I rewatch a Marvel movie, I'm not going to rewatch the post-credit scenes.
Fair enough. But at the beginning, the gold people, right? She's in that.
The Sovereign, right?
The Sovereign, yeah. So at the very, very end of that, it shows them again, and it shows a cocoon, like a big, giant golden cocoon. And they're like, we created the perfect specimen, and we shall call him Adam. And so for 7 years, he's been in a cocoon. For
7 years? Good Lord.
Well, I'm trying to think of when Guardians 2 came out. Was that 2016, 17? Anyway, so that's his backstory.
Yeah, that's his backstory. But I'm saying when he got there, he was not ready. Like
Oh, no.
He was just shooting beams.
They actually do say like a line when she's talking to the High Evolutionary where he's saying like he was supposed to be the warlock and he's supposed to be the pinnacle of your people. And she's like, yeah, but you got him out of his cocoon like prematurely, too early.
That's such a tropey thing. I'm sorry. That's a tropey thing.
Honestly,
he's come out of his slumber too early.
I didn't love how they handled Adam Warlock personally.
Me neither. Okay, so like I said,
do you know about him like in the comic books?
No, but I know about him in the movie, and let me tell you what I saw. I saw this big dumb baby come in and just like wreak havoc. He didn't do what he was supposed to do. Then he like regroups and tries again and gets like fucking obliterated. Then he takes a nap, wakes up, saves a spaceman, and then gets redemption. Like that's all he does. That is all he does in the movie.
Yeah. So, real quick, briefly, and to me, it's a bit of a missed opportunity because they set it up before Infinity War and then didn't do anything with it. But you know, like the little bolt in his head.
Yeah, the Infinity Stone.
In the comic books, that's like the Soul Stone. No,
It looked like the Soul, one of the
Power
stones.
Stone. In this movie, it's just a bolt. It's not anything. In the comic books, it's like this. It's like the Power Stone. And in the comic books, he's like Space Jesus. Like he's like a savior person, and he wields the Infinity Gauntlet. He's like a major player of the Infinity Saga.
Yeah.
And he's like super important. And what's interesting to me is that they teased him before Infinity War. Like at the end of Guardians too, right? And so you think,
Right.
we know we're going towards the Infinity Saga. We know that we're going towards Thanos. Oh, you're going to tease Adam Warlock. Of course you are, because he's a big player. And then nothing. And then the version that we get is like an idiot.
Right.
And that's the thing that I
Complete
feel
idiot.
like I'm kind of tired. And like it's fine. Like in the comic books, yeah, he's bad, but also good. And so that's true. He's really powerful. His powers are not explained. That is true.
Mm-hmm.
But what's interesting is that I've kind of noticed that Marvel has this tendency, and I think it's because Tony Stark was such a hit and Robert Downey Jr. was so good at this kind of quippy thing, and then because Ragnarok did so well, that they have this tendency to make all their characters like morons. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, hold on. What do you mean about Tony Stark? Because Tony Stark
well,
was never a moron.
He was never a moron, but he was so funny, so casually.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then maybe this is
But-
partly James Gunn's fault too, but then the Guardians did so well and they were kind of ridiculous. But then Ragnarok was such a big hit that they're like, okay, well the answer is to make them all stupid idiots who just make jokes.
Yeah, so Tony Stark has his own, like Robert Downey Jr. has his own charm that I think he brings to the character that no longer exists. That I don't think it can be replicated, right?
No.
I think that the Guardians of the Galaxy are meant to be this like dysfunctional group. I think where they went wrong, and I love Thor Ragnarok, but making Thor a dumbass was where they went wrong, because he wasn't a dumbass in the first movie, was he? Like he was,
No,
he didn't know Earth things, but he wasn't dumb.
He was also like Shakespearean too, which that's
Right.
fine. They were figuring out they're finding their footing. That's fine. They had Kenneth Branagh do it. He's a Shakespeare director. That's fine. And even in Ragnarok, he wasn't an idiot really. He was just kind of goofy and kind
He
of
was
silly.
an idiot. He was
But
pretty much an
he
idiot.
definitely was leaning towards an idiot. But in Love and Thunder, he was like genuinely stupid,
Stupid.
and it was really annoying.
And that's where they went wrong. But you're right. Adam Warlock is like goofy, stupid, and it's not going to work for every character. It's just not.
It's just kind of odd because, and I guess that's kind of their whole thing. The Sovereign is like they're just beautiful because I think Herbert Wyndham even says he's like when he's talking to I forgot her name, the Sovereign. He's like, you are the like pinnacle of beauty, but you have like nothing in your heads.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
I mean, this kind of goes hand in hand with what I was talking about. Sorry, excuse me. Where I said that James Gunn's dialogue just kind of sucks. Like everyone in the Suicide Squad is either stupid or goofy. Peacemaker is both stupid and goofy. You know what I mean? Like that's just. I feel like that's like part of James Gunn's style. Is those kinds of characters.
He has come out and said that Superman Legacy will not be a comedy. So I'll be curious to see how he writes that.
Yeah.
But I didn't love how they did Adam Warlock, and it feels like, you know what it feels like? It feels
What's it feel like?
It feels like James Gunn had an idea for Guardians 3. And then the Russo brothers, mind you, they made a good movie, took his characters in Infinity War and Endgame and did stuff with them that Gunn would not have done, like kill Gamora and all that stuff. And then all that time passed, and then when he finally got a chance to come back and do Guardians 3, well, also he got fired from Disney for like a minute, and then a few years later was able to come back. But that put Guardians 3 way back, like way off track, and pushed it back far. And it seems like he was kind of like, okay, well, I teased Adam Warlock, and we need to introduce him, so let's just bring him in here, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean. I mean, it's evident in the dialogue too because of the elevator scene where.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Which that's super meta to me. It was super. It felt like James Gunn like complaining about like what happened with his character. Yeah.
He's like, "What? How the hell did this happen? Now I have to deal with this."
But and like, don't get me wrong. I think it'll be cool to see the new Guardians lineup. I think it'll be cool to see Adam Warlock in the MCU. But I just felt like it's such a weird way to do it. Make him kind of an idiot, you know. Anyway, he hurts Rocket really bad, and Rocket's dying. And this movie's I mean, it's really he's not in it as much, but it's really about Rocket and his whole story. And what were your thoughts on that, Zach? Or did you have
about Rocket?
What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was going to say, do all the sovereigns have powers? Or
I don't
are they
think
just
so.
gold?
See, that's something too.
So
like,
how the hell did Adam Warlock, if he doesn't have a stone?
Is it the bolt? Well, yeah. Then
what the hell is it? Because the sovereign are created by
the High Evolutionary.
The High Evolutionary, and the only thing that the High Evolutionary can create is. Sorry, I'm gonna go on like a tangent within a tangent here. Do you know how fucking conceited it is to think that no matter what the animal is, 1,000,000 years of evolution within a moment will just make it a fucking humanoid? Like, do you know how arrogant? Like, when that was said, and then that's what was put in front of me on the screen, I was like, what does James Gunn think evolution is? Does he think everything's gonna become human? I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah. There's no guarantee that everything's gonna become like walk on two legs and opposable thumbs.
Right. It's just it's ridiculous. And anyways, the High Evolutionary is like struggling to create anything that can like innovate, right? It's like he says the only thing that they can do is what we've programmed them to do, essentially. So why does he think that he can make a fucking superhero? That doesn't make any sense. Also, how does he have like gravity hands? How does he have like?
You're right.
How does he have powers. Like? Yeah.
I don't know.
Cool.
But also, I guess he didn't make Adam Warlock. I guess the Sovereign did. Well,
the Sovereigns did, but
I guess he was like. Yeah, I guess he was involved.
Follow me within the logic of the movie, because the whole reason he wants to get Rocket is because Rocket is the only creation of his that is capable of like its own thought.
Yeah, I think he said his phrase was like pure invention. He can
pure
like,
invention,
have a new thought. Yeah,
like ingenuity, right? So with that frame of mind, how could the Sovereign create Adam Warlock?
And also the High Evolutionary says to the Sovereign lady, I forgot her name, says he was meant to be the Warlock. So he obviously knew like what was being done, like what he's supposed to be. But anyway, yeah. So I really, I enjoyed. I say that with a, it's heavy because it's hard to watch, but like I think it's really powerful to kind of show Rocket's backstory. I thought it was really interesting. But I think this film does a pretty good job, actually, of kind of letting everybody's story wrap up, and it's not just about Rocket. That makes sense?
Maybe.
Well, I'm saying, like, I know I'm going. We can wait till the end of that, but about Rocket. So he's actually like an actual raccoon. He gets tortured, and then he meets Lila and Floor and Teefs. And we kind of see how he's raised, I guess, or taught from the High Evolutionary. What's his number? 89P13?
Something like that, yeah.
So he's trying to create this perfect civilization on counter Earth or whatever with the animal humanoids. Thoughts? What'd you think of that whole, like, his whole plan, his whole character, the High Evolutionary, and that whole thing? And just give me your thoughts, Zach. I want your thoughts.
Okay. So Rocket's backstory, I thought was powerful. It sucks that his buddies died. It was cool that we got the Deathly Hallows Part 2 moment.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Did you know I was gonna say that?
Oh, it's the exact same thing though. It literally like looks the
Except
exact
for the
same.
fetus. Except for the fetus part.
Yeah, there's no Voldemort fetus.
Yeah.
It really is though. The whole like whited out and like background and stuff. It's the exact
But
same
not
thing.
yet. It's not your time.
not
Whatever. Right. No, it was good, and it was cool that it was like as things were happening in the real world, it was almost like giving Coma Rocket memories of his past, right? So it
Yeah.
wasn't just like 20 minutes of exposition. It was like happening as the movie was going on, which I think was necessary because all the little animals getting hurt and shit, I don't do well with it. So it was like every time
Yeah.
that came on screen, I was like, don't cry, Zach. Like, honestly.
Well, yeah, no, it's tough.
But all that to say, the High Evolutionary himself, I do think if he got more fleshing out of like how he has powers and like what his plan really is, like I get he's trying to create like a perfect world, but it doesn't make sense. Like at one point somebody says, it might have been Mantis or it might have been Gamora, someone says like there are entire pockets of the universe that call him God.
Yep.
Right, so he's created like a bunch of different worlds. But then this like Counter Earth, is that what it's called? Counter Earth?
Yeah.
He's like, if this doesn't work, we're blowing it up. Which, like, if he created all these other planets and they weren't like perfect, and he didn't blow them up, why is he blowing this one up? Like, it just doesn't. Does
Yeah,
that make
and it's
sense?
like what qualifies as sovereign as perfect?
Yeah.
You know, like,
Right.
I guess he says like they were just like an aesthetic experiment, so maybe he doesn't care as much.
Okay.
But also, like, I do have. Well, you know, I think Sorry, I'm cutting you off a second, but like,
You're
I
good.
think it's like, yeah, the actual moral of it is that because he's taking lower level life forms like animals and he's torturing them and he's kind of like bioengineering them and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, he's an asshole and he needs to stop. And then he creates these civilizations and blows them all up. That's messed up. But also,
But he
like,
doesn't blow them all up. He's just blowing this one up, right?
no, I know, but it's kind of implied that he'd done it before. But also, it's like, how did he make the sovereign? Did he just make those?
Right. Yeah.
You know
So,
what I'm saying? So, like-
right. If these are like turtles that are now humans, what the fuck were the sovereign? Gold coins?
Yeah, and
That
so
he just like
with,
put special water on and they
or
became
like
gold people?
Yeah, or like those kids that they save. Mind you, I get that they're kids and they're higher life forms, but like,
The Jube kids?
where'd they come from? Were they evolutioned, or were they just created? You know, like
They evolutioned.
you've been evolutioned. And so it's interesting. So yeah, his plan is not to like take over the universe.
It's implied that they came from wherever Drax came from because Drax knows how to speak their language, like quite literally, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Where did Drax come from? Is that explained ever?
I think it's mentioned in Guardians 1, but I can't remember because he had a daughter and a wife that were killed by Thanos.
Okay. Cool. Classic story. Sorry. Can we talk about the Orgosphere?
Yes.
Do you know if that's in the comics? Because if it's not, and that's just a James Gunn creation, it's a stupid one. Why would you have an organic building?
I don't think it's in the comics, not that I know of.
Also, if you're going to have a giant organic building and you have someone who can like mind control stuff, like a literal like bug person who can like mind control stuff, I thought she was just gonna like put her hand on the floor and be like, open the doors and let us out. You know what I mean? Like that would
Oh,
make
wow.
sense to me. Like that's why I thought it was like an organic building so that she could like use her
Mind control it.
right, something, but that didn't happen. It just didn't make sense. Like why would they grow an organic building?
Well, it ended up not mattering either.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just like, oh, that looks funky, and that was kind of it. And it was like squishy and stuff.
This is also
But
around the
also-
time when Sylvester Stallone shows up.
Yeah, so that's something that I feel like that's the nature of having such a big interconnected universe, is that when you have somebody like, oh, cool, that like Ravager Because in the comic books, the original Guardian of the Galaxy
Who?
had so that their group that Gamora's with, they're called the Ravagers. Like Yondu and stuff, they used to be the Ravagers. Not Chris. Well, yes, Chris, but Star-Lord actually used to be a Ravager.
That's what Blue Man used to be, was a
Yondu,
Ravager, right?
Yeah, Yondu, yeah. And Sylvester Stallone's character from the comics is like one of the original Guardians of the Galaxies, like in the original lineup, like way back in the day.
Okay.
And so when they brought him in Volume 2, it was kind of like an Easter egg, like, oh, look here, this guy's here. And I felt like having him as Sylvester Stallone was like a cool little, oh, that's cool, you know? But then when you're in a universe like this and any character can come back at any time, well, then you have characters that are in there for like 2 minutes, you know?
Yeah.
Like, did you notice the like crystal guy, the ice crystal face guy?
Yeah.
That's Michael Rosenbaum, who plays like Lex Luthor and stuff on Smallville. I don't think he had a single line. But
he didn't.
You have like a name actor who's there.
He laughed at a joke, and then the other guy made an emoji in the movie, like an earth emoji.
No, I saw that. And what's funny is that character actually, if you notice, he was doing the sling ring magic like Doctor Strange, right?
Exactly.
So like, that's a really interesting alien that knows the mystic arts, and in the comic books on a different Earth, he's like the Sorcerer Supreme and everything. But they're kind of just there for like, oh, they were here once. They made an appearance briefly, and now they're kind of back. And I guess they're with Gamora. Did you like the new like asshole Gamora? Or did it just get kind of old?
It got kind of old, and it's also like what in Guardians 1. She definitely wasn't like this, you know, like emotionally available person for the bulk of it.
True.
But she was not that either. You know what I mean? So if what happened was just that she forgot the past 7 years or whatever, and she was supposed to be like pre-meeting Quill Gamora, it was off. Like the acting was different, I think.
Like she was like meaner?
Meaner, yeah. And more ruthless.
Yeah. I don't know. It was like they had its funny moments of her, you know, they kind of played on it, but it did get a little like, I never really actually cared about her. Does that make sense?
Me neither.
Where I was like, okay, we kind of get this spiel. Like, I don't think that they're going to fall in love all over again. Like, that'd be ridiculous. But
I'll be honest, the only people I really cared about or cared for in this movie were Rocket, his friends who died. Yep. So like, that sucked. And then
fucking
Cosmo, because Cosmo got called a bad dog.
I did like Cosmo.
I didn't want that.
I also cared more for Drax and Mantis in this one than I have in the past.
Okay, yeah, yeah, but like not enough.
Let me ask you this then, because you said that you actually liked this movie. What did you like about it?
I'm trying to think now because I'm tearing it to pieces, aren't I? I think the experience of watching it in the theater, it was a much stronger film than it is when you like nitpick it. I had fun watching the movie.
I think for someone like you, that kind of is what like a movie like this has to be. You know what I mean?
What, just like a fun experience in the theater?
Like if a comic movie is not a fun experience for you, it's so much easier, and for me too, it's so much easier to be like, well, all of this sucks. But if you're watching it, I think about how you viewed Aquaman.
I just let go with Aquaman.
Yeah, that movie's not particularly a good movie. Jason Momoa is not actually a good actor. Sorry. I think he's perfectly cast as Aquaman, but him and Amber Heard have no chemistry. There's some really cringy jokes, but if you kind of let it go and be like, hey, this is going to be ridiculous. All right, sure. Then it can be fun. I think this one is that. It's a lot of fun. It has some cool visuals, but I think the emotion that it delivers on isn't actually built in this film. It's built off of the previous two.
See, and I disagree with that because I think all the emotions built in this film, because it's all the emotion that I felt was built on Rocket's backstory, which we got almost none of in the first two films.
Yes. Okay. So besides Rocket, though, I'm saying like the final.
I didn't care about anybody else. I didn't care. Fair. I didn't care about Drax. I'm convinced that. Well, I knew going into it that Drax is done. Dave Bautista is done playing Drax. He's done. He doesn't want to do it anymore, right? So
yeah, and then also Zoe Saldana said she is done playing Gamora.
Right.
And then Chris Pratt has not said he's done, but he has said that it would have to be the right project for him to come back as Star-Lord.
Okay, but at the end of the post-credit scene, did it not say Quill will return?
I didn't stay for that one, so no, I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure it did. Like at the end, so there's the mid-credit scene, and then the post-credit scene is like him eating cereal with his granddad. Mm-hmm. And then, like, I am quite certain it says Quill will return.
Does it say the Guardians of the Galaxy will return?
Hold on, give me a second.
Because I didn't stay for the second one. I left after the first one. But, yeah, but I think, like, let me explain myself, I guess. I really did actually care more for Drax and Mantis in this one because of their, kind of how they played off of Nebula. I've never really loved Nebula.
It says the legendary Star-Lord will return.
Well, there you go. Maybe he means it in like a Guardians movie, like, or if they'll even do that again. Maybe they'll just kind of be supporting characters now.
Mm-hmm.
But I really enjoyed how like Mantis and Drax, I don't know, like they kind of found themselves in the sense, like, you know, Nebula sort of tore into them a pretty good bit on a lot of stuff. And Mantis, about her being an empath and like caring for people, and she says a line where she's like, "All you ever do when someone's so sad is you show up to support them," and I'm like, "That's actually awesome! Like, good for Mantis." And then Drax, like, there's that great line where he just comes in and starts speaking. Everyone calls him stupid, right? And then he comes in and starts speaking the language of his kids. And she's like, "Why didn't you say that you speak the language?" And he's like, "Why didn't you ask?" Like, he's kind of saying, like, you know, like, I'm just sort of taking it for granted. So I liked them. I liked their stories. I like how Mantis was coherent enough to realize that those big monsters don't eat people. They eat batteries. And so, I don't know. Star-Lord's story, I thought he was going to die. He didn't. Yeah, I mean, Rocket's story is obviously the strongest, but
I didn't. Okay, so Chris Pratt is like the main guy, right? When he was bloating in space,
yeah, dude, I
didn't really care. What were you gonna say?
Well, no, I thought they actually did it. I thought I was like, oh shit,
yeah.
Like he was frozen, and I was like, all right, he's gonna.
He's not making it out of that. First of all, like once you bloat like that,
he was like, and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, once you bloat like that, you're dead. And if they did somehow like bring you back, I don't think your face would just go back to normal. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I wasn't like devastated at the prospect of him dying. That's the thing, man. Is like we're at a point now where some of these creators have been around for so long that it's almost like too long. Where it's like, okay, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Iron Man died at the right time. That sounds bad, but like at the peak of his moment, you know what I mean? What were you gonna say?
Yeah, I was just gonna say here's something interesting. Okay. Remember that little fucked up looking creature that they got out of the cage? Do you know who voiced that little creature named
wasn't it James Gunn?
No, it was Pete Davidson. Why did they get Pete Davidson to voice a little fucked up thing? Because he was in the Suicide Squad.
Yeah, that was odd. See, like that kind of stuff doesn't do much for me. You know what I'm saying? I was like, all right, I guess it's this crazy little creature. What did you
What'd you think about War Pig and the bird thing?
I didn't really care about him.
Cool.
I did like that hallway scene, though. I did like that. That was pretty badass.
Where
the like full like 2-minute unbroken fight scene. That was pretty cool. I like that a lot.
They stole some stuff from John Wick, like when the dude got hit with the arrow and then he was hanging there by his knee. That was in John Wick 4, wasn't it? Where someone got gets speared or something and he's hanging there by his knee.
I really enjoyed that, and what'd you think of the guy's face when she pulled the mask off?
I mean, I don't know why my voice just cracked.
Are you going to puberty?
Right now. It's 30's my age, you know. It wasn't like, I don't know. Did he die? We didn't see him die.
He could still be alive.
Is he Red Skull now? Like,
maybe.
Is he Red Skull?
He's not actually Red Skull, but like they both could be alive.
Also, like, I feel like it's weird that it was just sort of like strapped on his face. You know what I mean? Like,
just
it came off.
Back.
It came off so easily. Like, I feel like people, maybe they get skin grafts. Yeah, but if we have skin grafts on Earth, why can't they reattach this man's face in space with all this OrgoCorp technology?
Well, let me ask you this. I'm genuinely asking this. If you get your skin ripped off, does it just stay an open wound forever?
That's what I'm saying. Like, he had raw flesh just out, right? I feel like you'd probably look really bad, but it would probably heal over
to an extent,
right?
Yeah, it would have to.
So it doesn't really make sense.
You have the mask over that,
right? Also, do you have to like preserve the face because it's not getting like the mitochondria are not doing anything anymore. You know what I mean?
I wonder if
the
it's
cells
like not
really.
Actually, I wonder if it's like not real skin. If it's just like a mask.
I mean, maybe.
But like I'm thinking of like Two-Face in The Dark Knight. Like he gets his whole face is all burned, but it's like a one giant scab.
I have a third question for you. How is he moving his lips if they're not like attached?
I was just thinking that.
And his eyes.
Or like
how does he blink?
His because when he took the mask off, his eye was like messed up. I think.
That makes sense.
And he has like
how would
no
you
nose.
blink? How would you blink if you were like? Okay, let's talk about the Joker who rips his face off and puts it back on, right? And he's really disturbing looking because he can't move his lips and he doesn't blink.
And his skin is like dying, actively dying.
Right.
Yeah. That's gross. That's a great book, though. You ever should read it. It's called Death in the Family. I think it's that one. Anyway, so as we can wrap up, this has been very general, I know, but it feels like as sad as this kind of is, maybe this movie boils down to just kind of a good time.
Yeah. I mean, for me, yeah, because I had a good time watching it, but now that I think back on it, there weren't many, other than Rocket's story, which we didn't really talk about this. We talked about it in other contexts. Like we talked about it with Chris Pratt's death or Quill's death, and then he comes back. But Rocket, to have all that build-up and all that emotion behind it, and he flatlines for 30 seconds, and then he's just good because the code goes through or whatever happened. Felt like a cop-out. That felt, you know.
I would have rather him just not flatlined.
Right. Like he's just okay. Or if he's going to flatline, kill him.
Yeah. I mean, what I was going to say, though, earlier, I mentioned it and I forgot to come back to it, is that there's some things that are tropey. And you texted me before you saw the movie and you're like, okay, so, and this is true, the trailer did spoil this, because you're like, okay, so we see Chris Pratt screaming at this operating table.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next shot in the trailer is like a rocket on that table.
It's a different trailer, but it's the same table. Yeah. Like you see the tubes
same table.
And Rocket's sitting there fine.
And he's like, that happened. And so you can deduce like, all right, so he survives. But then you said something. Let me just find it real fast. Because then you said something like, also,
Gamora's going to be all like angsty that everyone wants her to be the way that she used to be. And she's not that person anymore. And then I said, Adam Warlock's going to start the movie with the bad guys, and then he's going to be with the good guys at the end.
Yep.
That might have been all I said. But
yeah.
And those are pretty basic plot points, but they all happened. They all came true.
But it does feel like the Adam Warlock thing does feel tropey, where it's like, oh, here's this guy who's like, and I guess that's sort of the thing of the Guardians of the Galaxy, like these misfits who aren't really great, but then like get a second chance, you know.
But his role was so minimal, Hunter. Like he barely had any dialogue. He adopted a little furry thing, and then just fucked everything up. And then at the end, how does he have powers? Like it's not. I don't understand.
Also, do you know what my thought was when Star-Lord was out there freezing to death and bloating up, and Adam Warlock comes in floating like the painting of Adam, you know, the creation of Adam.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, bro, you're like super fast. Just get him in. Just get him.
Yeah, what are you doing? Why are you going so slow?
He grabs him and like pushes him, and I'm like, no, dude, like just he's dying. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was my thought. I was like, I don't need the symbolism of like, oh, this is the actual creation of Adam, and it's like, okay, whatever. Like, just save him. Just save him.
Right.
But anyway, yeah, I don't know. What were you gonna say?
I don't remember. Is Cosmo's not in the second movie? Is Cosmo in the Christmas special?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
So Cosmo's the Soviet dog, right? No, they sent into space.
Mm-hmm.
How does it have telekinesis?
I don't know.
Cool.
It might have been something that maybe the Collector did to her.
Okay.
Because the Collector did have some Infinity Stones for a while, but that's off screen. I think that's the thing, too, is that we're just sort of at a place in the MCU where it's like, oh, they have powers, okay. I guess.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh, I have one last thing I want to talk about. In the first two Guardians movies, Groot was CGI, but he looked good. In this movie, for the majority of it, it looked like someone wearing a foam padded suit.
Maybe the
Did
CGI
you notice that?
Maybe the CGI is just that good.
No, it was worse. It didn't look good. It looked like someone in a foam padded suit.
You didn't like it?
No, I didn't like it. Also, how does he get his I understand that he could live if he got his head cut off. He's like a snake. But how did he grow back so fast?
Maybe he just like reattached to his body.
Maybe.
Also, what do you think of him saying "I love you guys" at the end? Or do you think that was us hearing, like just finally understanding him?
No, he just said it. He just said it.
I think it was actually the second. I think it was that we were finally hearing him like the Guardians here.
I don't speak Groot, so you're wrong.
Look at the shadow of my fucking tooth. It's missing.
Yeah, we're both missing the same tooth.
Sorry, it's bugging me. So anyway, let's wrap it up. We end with Star-Lord leaves. He goes home to Earth, right?
Right.
Mantis goes on her way. She got to go find herself, figure out what she wants.
With her weird things.
Oh, yeah, I forgot what they're called, but yeah. Drax is a daddy. He's going to help raise the kids.
Jub.
Jub.
Okay, whatever.
And then Rocket becomes captain of the Guardians. Nebula is like running nowhere, and Kraglin is part of it now. So who's the lineup at the end? It's Rocket, Kraglin, really big Groot.
Mm-hmm. Adam Warlock,
and then one of the kids who suddenly has powers too.
And the little furry guy, right? But he's just like a pet.
Yeah, maybe.
What's Cosmo doing? Is Cosmo with Kraglin?
I can't remember if she's in the post-credit scenes. Maybe.
Who someone was Nebula doing it by herself, or was someone like her second in command at the end?
It was her and Drax were like running nowhere.
You're right. Yeah, because he's the father. And then
Rocket
Gamora's going back to the Ravagers.
The Ravagers, yes. And so
and Aisha's dead, right?
who's Aisha?
The Sovereign Lady.
Yes, I think she got blown up. Oh, last thing. What'd you think of the first F-bomb in the MCU?
It would have been a lot funnier if it wasn't in the trailer. Like if that was just like in the movie and you weren't expecting it from the trailer, it would have been a lot funnier. But I don't know.
That's the nature of trailers these days.
No, but it doesn't have to be. Like,
no, it doesn't have to be.
Like, well, like I thought Bo had a great trailer. And there was a lot. Well, that movie just has a lot in it, but there was a lot that was not in the trailer.
It was interesting.
That you're discovering as you watch the movie, you know, and it seemed like all the things that you discover in this film that aren't part of the movie was like Rocket's flashbacks and then the fighting, but everything like a lot of the jokes were in the trailers because they released so many trailers, and then they were also just like releasing scenes. It was like new scene from Guardians is dropped.
I hate that. I hate when they do that. That's so dumb.
That's like, James Gunn. That's gonna be DC.
No, well, I don't think it's
gonna
actually
be DC.
I don't think it's actually James Gunn. Maybe it is, because I'm wondering how much control the directors actually have over that. Because when Shazam 2 came out, and they showed Wonder Woman like in the trailer, you remember that?
Yep.
David F. Sandberg said that Warner Brothers actually apologized to him because he did not want that released and did not know that it was included in the trailer. And Warner Brothers was like, "Oh, we're sorry." And so I wonder, like, who really actually gets the final say of like what's in these trailers? Because if the studios, they're doing it really wrong.
But I don't remember them doing that with. I don't remember them doing that with Ant-Man. Like, we didn't get scenes before they came out. We got shitty beer ads for Ant-Man, but we didn't get that kind of stuff. And I feel like when The Suicide Squad came out, there was a bunch of like extra shit that was happening before the movie came out. I feel like James Gunn just needs something to tweet every night to stroke his ego. And so he's just releasing the movie prematurely.
It does bother you that he like talks to the people, doesn't he?
It doesn't bother. It's the tone with which he talks to the people. Because it's not like that's not the plan. It's like that's not my plan. Me.
Are you gonna go see any of the DCU?
We're gonna watch The Flash, right?
No, of like his DCU.
We'll see.
Are you so excited?
I mean, we're gonna have to do it for the podcast, so I'll just shit on it. Let's here's his last tweet from two hours ago. I voiced the beautiful lamb shank. I don't want to show her here because she's too gorgeous, and I don't want folks to feel bad about themselves in comparison. Let's go to the next tweet. Is there a reason Quill didn't have his helmet? And he says it's in his desk drawer in nowhere. Okay, so he's just answering a question about the movie.
What a dick.
Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was a roller coaster, and I want to ride it again. But where can I get the pug picture in the Bat family's living room? It's in the wall of my home. Fuck off. I have a few minutes to answer some questions, and we'll do so. 2 rules. It must be a question with a yes or no answer, and it must be about my movie. Like, get over yourself, dude.
I love how you said the audacity of saying, I'm going to answer some questions.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Let me keep going. Now he's just retweeting other people's tweets. Thank you for all your kind messages about Volume 3. For 10 years, you've been the best fans ever. It means the world to me, and I'm the luckiest filmmaker to have ever had you by my side.
What an asshole. I don't mind him. his stuff's not always like my taste, but I think he's fine. Zach, shall we wrap up? I have a very important question to ask you. And I'm actually curious now because while we both said good things at the beginning, we both were kind of it was very bleh kind of going back through it.
Did you see this video that he posted where he's like signing posters and what's his face is like moving the posters, but he's not doing it well enough. And he's like, I'm not going to let you be in my movie if you can't move the posters well enough. Have you seen this?
Is that Nathan Fillion?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they're just being funny.
I don't care, Hunter. What were you saying? I'm gonna close Twitter because I'm gonna get angry at James Gunn. What were we talking about? I
was saying I have a very important question to ask you, and I'm very interested to see what you say because we both kind of started this episode out being like, hey, yeah, it was fun. But then we kind of talked through it, and we're kind of like, well, you know. So I actually have two questions to ask you. One, I know you're going to love answering because you love the Marvel Universe. So one, did this get the Marvel Universe back on track? And two, is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 good?
Okay, the first question, how could it get it back on track when this is like the closing off of storylines?
Okay.
It's not really connected, and that's fine. That's what we like, I think. But that doesn't mean it's going to get the MCU back on track. So no, I don't think this got the MCU back on track. Also, if James Gunn is good for the MCU and this is James Gunn's last movie, this could be the death knell for the MCU. So there's my answer to question one.
Long live DC.
Well, because it shows, hey, here's a good movie that we put out, right? By the way, I'm out of here. You know what I mean? Like, I've got the only hit in the past 2 years or however long it's been, right? So
Keep
no,
talking.
I don't.
I'm gonna see what the box office is doing, but go on.
I don't think that this is going to get the MCU back on track. The answer to the second question is I think that this is a really messy film and there's a lot to nitpick about it, but it's better than what we've got. This is like, can I be crude?
You can be crude as you want.
This is like when you've had like really, really bad sex for like 6 months and then you just have like decent sex and you're like, that was great. Let's do that again. Give me 15 minutes. Can I have an Alka-Seltzer?
So actually, Guardians 3 has opened well above expectations at the international box office. It was expected to bring in $168 million globally, and it has brought in almost $300 million globally. So I'm curious to see how this does. Apparently, it's doing quite well. Right now, domestic, it is at $114 million. Let me look at one more. Hold on a second. Ant-Man and the Wasp. Quantumania. Oh, wow. Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania made less than $500 million globally in its entire run. So this is already almost to 300 in the first weekend. So it is interesting to see that if this becomes a hit for Marvel again, that it is the first one in a while, and it's James Gunn's last film, and he's leaving. Mm-hmm. So, but did you actually answer the question? Sorry, is it good or not?
Yeah, it's messy, but like overall, it's like do you want me to give the metaphor again?
No, it's like decent sex after you have a lot of bad sex for a long time.
Yeah, so it's yeah,
but
it's refreshing.
If you
This film was refreshing.
I can see you just laying there in bed, be like, that was so refreshing.
Hot damn! Give me 15 minutes.
Okay, well there you have it.
I'm ordering some food. Do you want something? No, you're staying. You're not going home. Guardians
3 is refreshing. I think this would just be. This is this is not going to be a golden good by any means, but
no,
it was fine. I think it would count as good. It's an enjoyable experience.
You're talking about that one, the good one after 6 months of bad ones. Those are the words that you would use. It was fine.
It was fine. It was fine.
It's better.
But yeah, be like, yeah, okay, that was nice. Nice.
Right.
Well, there you go. There you have it, people. Let's do some every movie sucks real quick. I'll do a couple. And then Zach, you can do a couple. We can alternate as we wrap up. Huh? Yeah? Is that okay? Cool. This person says, I did not watch the movie. I just do not fuck with James Gunn at all. That was Juan.
My boy. Who is that?
That's it just says Juan. Okay, here's my first actual one. Here we go. Ready?
Oh, so you're doing 2 in a row, are you?
Well, no, that one was just like the first one. I didn't actually want to do. I mean, do you want to do 2 in a row? That wasn't actually my one. You can go. Go ahead.
Kate Lard says, this movie sucks. The music choices suck. This movie made me resent Star Wars for ever being made, and I love Star Wars.
What? It's not a Star Wars movie. This is half star from Lady Renee. Says, last night the family went to see Guardians of the Galaxy. Sigh with an emoji. Stanley must aggravate in his grave. What? Because Marvel Studios died with him. Since the death of Stanley, we've just been hoping for something good. Guardians of the Galaxy was 2 hours out of 2.5 wasted. Wherever Walt Disney and Stanley are, and Stan is looking at Walt, asking, where did I go wrong? Because clearly Walt Disney got it right. They went off the rails there. I'm not sure what they're trying to say. They didn't like it.
Cool. So Shlomo Baggins.
Okay.
Shlomo Baggins says, too many animals. I don't like fur. Shave your face, Ben Platt.
All right, here we go. This person, Little Karos, my last one, okay, half star, says, my rating is 9% out of 100%. Look, I'm not going to hate people for liking these kinds of films anymore. They have a lot of action, weird dialogue, humor worse than my grandfather, and Zoe Saldana once again as an alien instead of a real human being, which I guess is a thing. A talking tree shooting at people, Andy from Parks and Rec, and I could go on for hours. So what am I missing here? The people behind these films are imbeciles that think with their dick instead of their brains. I see people rating this film 5 stars, and I'm like, well, let's give this a try. Instantly regretted it 10 minutes in. Might be a film, bro.
Brooke says...
Is it Brooks? Brooke. Gotcha.
Brooke says, I suffered more than Jesus Christ.
Wow. Oh, man.
That's
okay,
pretty bad. That's a pretty bad theater experience.
Every movie sucks. There you go. All right, Zach, give me a shindig song. We can wrap this up.
It's time for shindigs. We're going to talk about movie news, and then we're going to talk about the Braves, and then we're going to tell you our handles for social media stuff, and then we're going to sign off. It's time for the shindigs.
You always forget whiskey shots.
And the whiskey shots.
Yeah,
we're going to take
go.
whiskey shots.
I don't have much, so we're going to just run through this real quick. Carl Urban from The Boys is in talks to play Johnny Cage in Mortal Kombat 2. Gran Turismo movie has a trailer. And Chase, it actually looks better than I expected. And Chase is super hype and wants to do it on the podcast.
We can do Gran Turismo on the podcast, but it looks dumb. Looks like a dumb idea for a movie.
Did you watch the trailer?
I did watch the trailer. It was like, oh, you know games, but you don't know cars. Yeah. They're athletes, and you're not.
And
so they make
it has
them run.
Orlando Bloom out of all people coming out of nowhere. Look how much bigger like one eye of mine is. Look at that. When I smile.
You're doing
when
that
I
on
smile,
purpose.
it's like, now I'm not. Right here. Now I'm not. Now I am.
Okay. let's keep on track.
A Dodgeball sequel is in development with Vince Vaughn returning. We got a new trailer for Dune Part 2, which that looks good. I'm excited about that. Margot Robbie apparently has been offered the role of Sue Storm in the MCU's Fantastic Four. James Gunn, your favorite person, said Ta-Nehisi Coates' Black Superman film could still 100% be made as an Elseworld movie if it is quote-unquote great. And then here's one that I thought was just hilarious. I thought this was the funniest thing. The Flash's budget is $40 million less than Black Adam. And I find that absolutely hysterical.
Well, they didn't have to pay Dwayne.
The Rock, yeah, I know. And then the biggest news of the industry really is that the Writers Guild of America has officially gone on strike. So that is happening. So we'll see how long this goes and if it affects anything that we like.
I'm sure it will affect a lot of stuff that we like. Because
there's more.
Do you remember the last one? Sorry.
It's been a while, but yeah.
It has been a while because it was like 2007. But there were a handful of shows that quite literally died because of the writer's strike. They tried to continue and it did not work.
I actually think that George Miller? Somebody was going to do a Justice League movie back then. And I believe it died in the writer's strike. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
All right, Zach, Brave Minute. Let's do it.
All right. So the Braves have been winning games. We took 2 out of 3 against the Mets. We took 2 out of 3 against the Marlins, and then we've taken 2 out of 3 against the Orioles. So we haven't. Well, no, we swept the Marlins, didn't we?
We swept them, yeah.
We swept the Marlins. We are 7 games up in the division. We have the largest division lead in baseball right now. We have the best record in the National League. We have Max Fried's been kind of shaky. Well, his last start, he was kind of shaky. I don't know if you have heard this, Hunter, but a reporter asked Snit why Max Fried wasn't slated for Wednesday, and Snit didn't really give an answer and said he's dealing with some stuff, so he's either injured or sick. It's what I hear.
But so is Kyle Wright's hurt again, isn't he?
Kyle Wright has shoulder inflammation, and he's actually on the 15-day IL.
That's
so
not
he's
good.
he's going to miss 2 starts at a minimum, maybe 3. We'll see. And where was I? Oh, the power rankings for the National League MVP. Number 1, Ronald Acuna. Number 2, Sean Murphy. The top 2 rated players in WAR, wins above replacement. Sean Murphy, number 1. Ronald Acuna, number 2. So we're sitting pretty. We got a couple of important games coming up against the Red Sox, who are good. They're over 20 wins already.
They're on a roll. Yeah, they're playing good.
May, we have a lot of strong competition in May, and then the really cool thing is that the Mets are in probably their easiest stretch right now, and they are sucking. They are not playing well at all.
I love it.
So we are going to go through a really easy stretch come June. Mm-hmm. We play some bottom feeders, and hopefully we're able to take care of business. But if we can build a hefty lead, which we already have, and then we go into a month where the Mets and the Marlins and the Phillies are all playing like better teams, and at best trading off. And meanwhile, we're just like racking up the wins. We could be. Yep. I'm feeling we win the division by 40 games.
I hope you're right. That'd be amazing. The Mets are under 500 right now.
Yeah, but no, it's crazy because it feels like we've dropped some games that we shouldn't have dropped, right? Mm-hmm. And we're still on pace for 112 wins. So think about if we figure it out, if we get healthy, all our guys are back. Who's to say we couldn't beat the 100? Isn't it 116 games? Is the record?
Yeah, 116. Yep.
Who's to say we couldn't do it?
We could do it. And then we're going to a game soon. And I actually had the chance. This is a little humble brag. I got to go to Fenway the other day. It's very cool.
$6 to get in, which is crazy.
For pretty good tickets too. Actually, it was a really cool experience. I wasn't there for the whole game. I had to work before and after, but it was really tight. So enjoy those Red Sox on Tuesday. I got to see them a few days ago, playing the Blue Jays. But thank you, Zach. That was very brave.
Bravest thing I've done all week. You ready for whiskey shots?
Whiskey shots. Let's do it. Whiskey shots.
Whiskey shots.
Does whatever.
Drink it
whiskey.
tonight, and then tomorrow you get the whiskey shits.
Meow. To whiskey. We love you. Clink. Clink.
Tell someone you care about that you love them.
Yep,
Whiskey
do it.
shots.
I love you. Say it back.
I love you.
Thank you. Cool. Zach, where can they find us? If they want to say something to us, how can they do it? Tell us.
You can find us on Twitter at BIIG Podcast. You can email us at biigpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, fucking YouTube at But Is It Good Podcast. You can follow Hunter at something. You can follow me at something else. Hunter really wants the engagement. I don't really care. But Hunter can tell you his handle.
You can. I'll tell them yours too. You can follow me everywhere at Hunter Callahan Music. You can follow Zach on Instagram at Zach with an H. To the number, the THA future.31. And yeah, please like and subscribe and say hello, all that kind of stuff. Next week, we start our little mini Christopher Nolan series with a film that I have not seen, Memento. And then we follow up with a film that Zach has not seen, The Prestige. Then we end this month on one of our, I think, top 3 or 4 of our favorite films for both of us, maybe, Interstellar. Might have a guest for that one too. So that is a lead up to Oppenheimer in July. So I'm very excited for this next series. So tune in next week for Memento. Rock and roll. Rock and roll.
You ready to rock and roll?
Rock and roll. All right, that's it. You got anything else?
No, I'm good. So this is the part where we do our signing out. So you ready?
Yes.
This is the but.
Wait, what? I forgot it. Oh, okay, sorry. Good.
Podcast signing
out. Great.
But is it good podcast? Yeah.